In this video, I'm going to be installing this Aero Shield wind deflector WD600 made by Icon. Now, I used to see these things quite often, maybe 10-15 years ago, but it seems they fell out of favor, or at least you haven't seen them much anymore. And I think one of the reasons is the older style, they permanently mount it on your vehicle, where this one actually suction cups and straps on so you can take it off. Now, I originally bought this to help keep bugs off the nose of my RV. And actually it may help fuel economy too. And what I base that on is I've noticed when I'm towing my fifth wheel that there is an area of negative pressure around the bed of the truck. And I've had things sucked out of the truck while I'm driving on the road towing the RV. Things like a top to my cooler, even a funnel, several things that just come up missing. And I think they just get sucked out because the air gets caught as it comes down here. And so if that can prevent that, I think indeed it may very well save on some fuel. And in the box it comes with 4 different hook sets. And I had to go on their website, aeroshield.com, and you have to look through a couple pages, but sooner or later you'll find an application guide, and it told me number 9 is what is appropriate for my vehicle. So these I won't use, hopefully, and number 9 is for my truck. And next it says to use the hole appropriate for your vehicle for these suction cups. So we're going to set this up temporarily and see where they line up at. And so it looks like I marked it here, the 3rd hole in on each side. That's what I'm going to go for my particular truck. So I found it was easier to remove the thumb screw, and this would hinge out further. Otherwise you're not going to get a screwdriver behind this. So now I've got the Aero Shield on, basically just sitting there, and you can see where it has these arms that are collapsible, because this can collapse right down temporarily for storage, or is light enough and small enough that I can put it in the bed of the truck when I don't need it. And I have to tell you, I do have a few concerns about these straps. The first one is that it lays right on the metal roof, and I'm a little worried about wear. So maybe I can find some rubber pads to put on there. The other problem is how these straps fit onto the rain gutter. And this is the one that's supposed to use. And all it's doing is clamping onto the rubber itself. And it's not even clamping on to the metal around the rubber. I tried one of the other tabs in the kit, and this one goes around and clamps on the whole shebang, including the metal door frame. So actually, I think this one is better, even though this is the one that's recommended for this truck. And maybe you can see a little better from this angle down below. See how this one just grabs the outer piece of weather stripping? Where this one goes around the whole darn thing. Now, I'm a little disappointed in this, on how these straps work. And I'm going to reserve judgment till after we do a performance test to see if it's really worth it. And when you collapse it, you have to go back in here and tighten the nuts. I guess that's not too bad. But that's kind of what it looks like when it's collapsed. So it's not that obtrusive, I guess. And you can always take it off when you're not towing. So let's take this rig for a spin. As you can see here, we're at a rest stop. I'm encouraged. And this is after about 40 miles. I don't know if this gauge is accurate or not, but I'm at least using the same fuel gauge with the air dam and without it. And I was struggling to get about 13 miles per gallon. I was getting more like 12 and a half. And gosh, look at this, 15.4. And so that's, 2 to 3 miles per gallon better. Now, this is the first try, and so, we probably need to average it out a little bit. And so I'm going to do that on the way back as well, on the same route, going in the opposite direction. And we'll just compare the two to see. Well, on the return trip, my fuel mileage was nowhere near what it was going out. As you can see here, I only averaged about 12.2 miles per gallon, which is no better, or even maybe a little worse, than without having the air dam on. However, the conditions weren't exactly the same. It was different temperature, there were more traffic involved, it was raining, and we were going through a construction zone on that side of the highway So all those factors could affect the fuel mileage. So for now, I'm going to say there's probably an improvement, but I need to do a little more testing under more controlled conditions to really get an idea what the fuel mileage is. But even with those skewed figures, using 15.5 miles per gallon outbound and 12.2 miles per gallon returning, I'm still averaging 13.8 miles per gallon. But that still results in a 1.3 miles per gallon improvement. And we have quite a few trips planned for this summer, including one 2,400 mile round trip. So I'll post the results of each of the trips on my website at the address you see here, so you can get an idea of how much improvement this actually makes in the fuel mileage. But the good news is no bugs on the nose, so it at least did what I intended it to do. And fuel mileage, you'll have to do a little more testing and wait for another day to come up with that conclusion.